you're listening to Big Blend Radio's Lost Angel Travel Adventures show with Linda Ballou, travel writer and author, and your host, Lisa Smith. Welcome, everyone. So excited today because, we first met Linda Ballou when her book, Lost Angel in Paradise, came out. And this is all about California and beautiful hikes. And it's a beautiful book. And I know she's going to work on another one. But what's exciting about this is we're going to talk about California today. And we're going to start in Malibu and we're going to go on a road trip, right, Linda? So I can put this on our road trip channel, too.
Right. I just came back and from going what I call a California roll up the coast. And my mission was to update my Lost Angel in Paradise book, which is really a handbook. I won't call it a guidebook because it's not that detailed. What it is 32 of my favorite day trips on the coast from Malibu to Mendocino. So I start out with Malibu. All right, which has been in the news a lot since January 6th. Then we had those horrific fires. And I just want to let people know that Malibu proper, where my book begins, at the Malibu Pier and the Malibu Lagoon and Country Mart, which is really the center of the city of Malibu, is all good. It did not get destroyed. But if you drive anywhere from Santa Monica up to almost the pier, it is like a war zone. It is so depressing. I mean, it's like there's houses that look like burned out ships. It's like you imagine a pirate's flag flying, I mean, there's skeletons of themselves, and there's even still burned out cars on the road because they are still in the process of taking out all of the burned structures. And so that you can only go 25 miles an hour between Santa Monica and Malibu proper, where the pier is and so on. Surf Riders Beach, which I talk about in my book. And you can still go. So that particular stretch, if you really want to depress yourself, drive from Santa Monica to Malibu and it'll do it for you. But the good news might be that the state is going to take a lot of that properties that were on the beach side, eminent domain, and turn it into a state park, because rebuilding these houses is giving them permits to rebuild when the shelf is so shallow, and with global sea rising, it's just even more shallow than when they first built them. So there's a very strong possibility that will become a very, very scenic byway, and it'll all be open beach to the public, which would be lovely, but it's going to take, I don't know how many years for that to come to fruition. Meanwhile, the Adamson House, which I talk about in my book, which is a landmark there at Surf Riders Beach, where this woman, May Ringe, saved the whole Malibu coast. She stopped them putting a railway through. Like when you go up to Santa Barbara, there's a train that goes the main part of Santa Barbara on the coast there. Well, she blocked that from happening in Malibu, and that's why it's so unique there. The coastline has been preserved pretty well. And the Adamson House is a lovely treat, and it sits right overlooking the beach. So if you are not a sand bunny and don't want to get down on the sand, but you like to watch the surfers and look at Malibu Lagoon, you go to the Adamson House, and it has beautiful grounds, and they have docent-led tours, and it's very, very well worth doing. If you're even remotely interested in the history of California, they have a museum with the Chumash Indians used to have a village there in Malibu, and so the museum has, a cultural and heritage thing. So onward, do come to Malibu. You can really enjoy it. I would recommend coming via Las Virgenes Canyon or Malibu Canyon off of the 101, and then you don't go through the burn zone. You will see they did have what was called the Franklin Fire 2 weeks prior to the massive Palisades fire, which did threaten this area, and it did take out a house or two. That's but it has pretty much come back. So that's the story on Malibu. So then moving north, I'm in my book, I stop in Ventura, which is pretty
Mm.
much the same. I have a walk in there. It's a garden that's on the top of the overlooks the town and the
Mm.
beach. Not the beach, it overlooks the town. And it's a very nifty garden with a lot of indigenous plants and lovely views and really worth doing. So that one, they had, I think it was called the Thomas Fire several years back, but they have recovered from it.
Mm.
So my day in Ventura that I suggest is pretty much the same. So, but we've had a lot of different natural
Yeah.
disasters since
Sad.
my last update, which was I think in 23. But anyway, onward up to Santa Barbara. Now, on this particular trip, I didn't stop in Santa Barbara, but I did update 2 years ago, and the problem with
Mm.
that area was a massive mudslide
Oh boy.
that went through Montecito, which is this absolutely gorgeous area with Oprah lives there, and Ellen
Oh,
lives there, and Harry and Meghan live there, I mean, it's like just
wow.
absolutely fabulously gorgeous, beautiful growth trees and, just lovely estates. And there, above that, there's a road called Mountain Road, and it goes along the foot of the mountains. And there are trails there that at the time of my last update, you couldn't access because the mudslide, because the mountain road
Mm.
was all closed.
Mm.
So I didn't have them in the
Mm.
latest book. I put a place called Parma Park in there, which was a nice alternative because it wasn't heavily visited and it provided views, but it's not nearly as spectacular as some of these trails off of the mountain road that go along a creek and go up
Mm.
into the hills and past the estates. And it's really, quite lovely. So probably next month I'm going to go up in Santa Barbara and I'll pick one of those trails. I'll find out which
Cool.
one I think will be the best and I'll replace the Parma Park one. But I always tell people to go to the Santa Barbara Botanical
Mm.
Garden. It's so lovely. Any time of year, it's lovely. And they have all of the indigenous plants. And then you swing down and they take you through the redwood forest, actually have a
Oh,
beautiful
cool.
old growth redwood forest. And then very well maintained trails going along a creek bed. And, it's just a
Cool.
very sweet, charming thing to do. And then in that area as the mission, the Santa Barbara Mission, and there's also some museums there that are really worth seeing. They have a natural history museum with all of the birds, all of the,
Cool.
they're stuffed,
Oh,
but they had all the little
yeah.
eggs, the whole, I mean, if you're a birder and you want
Yeah.
to see the birds that are in the area, which would include the bald eagle that you were just telling me you saw where you're at right now. Yeah. It's really, that area is really worth.
Didn't even know they had bald eagles.
Well, they do turn
Wow.
up. Yeah, they've had one on the news up in Big Bear. They've been going
Yeah,
through
Big Bear I've
bird.
heard, but yeah.
Yeah, no,
Wow.
yes, they're
Mm.
around. So
Cool.
then onward and upward, we further go up the coast. And so we're getting to Morro Bay. So Morro Bay, is just north of Pismo Beach. And I don't really stop in that area because it's pretty heavily touristed and kind of busy. I like Morro Bay and the estuary there.
Mm.
The birding in Morro Bay is absolutely incredible. The Audubon Society in February has a retreat there every year, and they take people out on birding expeditions all around the area because migratory birds are there in February, and it's really, and the weather is really okay. I was there in
Okay.
February, and yes, it could be rainy, but it's not snow and sleet or
Mhm.
anything like that. You are in California on the coast. So I want to recommend, I didn't, this last trip up, I discovered the Marina Peninsula Walk, which is a combination of a walk that's around the harbor that figure
Mm.
eights back onto a boardwalk
Huh.
that goes along the estuary.
Oh,
So now
nice.
you have wonderful opportunity for birding because the estuary is a soggy place and you can't walk around. There aren't trails in there. It's boggy. It's a
Mhm.
wetland. And
Yeah.
so having the boardwalk allows you to really get up close and personal to some of the birds. And it's really a lovely little treat. But if you really want to see the bird life and the marine life, which, like otters and seals, is to go kayaking with a
Mm.
woman named Virginia that I went with, and she owns this company there. And she's just wonderful. says, "Don't worry about paddling, I'll paddle. You just hold your binoculars and you can, spot the
Wow.
birds." And she has a wonderful knowledge of the bird and marine life and the estuary system. And it's really the best way to
That is
see
cool.
the birding situation in Morro Bay. And it was like $60, so well worth it. And then, of course, in that region is Montana de Oro, which is a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful beach park that amazingly a lot of people don't know about. It's
Yeah.
in my book. It's very easy to access. You just get off of the 101 on De La Osa and drive through a beautiful country, farm country, and take it to the end of the road, and you're in this beautiful beach park, and it's quite extensive, and there are trails from the top of the mountain down to the sea. If you're
Mhm.
fit, you can handle. Some of these hikes are fairly strenuous, but the bluff walk, which is the most popular, is very easy.
Mm.
Easy to get to, easy to park. It's free. And,
Oh.
it's lovely any time of year, and there's a meadow there on the bluff with fields of
Mm.
poppies and yellow
Oh.
gorse blooms, and that's why they call it the mountain Montana de Oro, the mountain of gold. So
Wow.
yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah, and I mentioned in my book Coon Creek, which is a nice little trail that comes out of there, and you can
Mm.
stop at the visitor center and get a map. And there's also Spooner's Cove, where after you walk, you can go down on the beach and have a picnic. And it's just a delightful area. It's all free. So
Ah,
then, yeah, I like free.
yes. Who doesn't?
Yeah, and you don't, I mean, there is a campground there. If you want to camp out and make reservations, you can do that.
Mm.
But in my book, I'm just offering day trips.
Mhm.
So then moving on up the coast, there's San Simeon Pier. Now, Hearst Castle is
Mm.
just across up on the mountain over, and San Simeon, the pier, and everything there is all because of Hearst. But I don't talk about Hearst in my book. I just mention it so that people have a sense of the geography and where it is, because that's so famous. I mean, they have,
Mhm.
I don't know how many thousands or millions of people go to the Hearst Castle every year. I don't think I need to pitch it. But the San Simeon State Park, I think people are not so hip to. And so on the way up Highway 1, before you get to the turnoff for the Hearst Castle, is on the right side of the road. There's a San Simeon Park sign that I dipped down, and there's facilities. It's free in that walkway under the highway down to a very private, gorgeous, beautiful beach, and then through a meadow with wildflowers to
That's
a river.
awesome.
Free and uncrowded. I think there was one other couple that was there the day that I was there.
Nice.
So, yeah, then you just
Peaceful.
go right, if you want a little solitude, that's why I love Highway 1,
Mm.
from Morro Bay up to, well, you can only go up to, like, Ragged Point just a little further because Big Sur is closed and has been for almost 2 years now because of the region slide. That is the plus, is that you
Mhm.
have very little traffic because people can't get through to Big Sur.
Yeah.
So that's fine with me, 'cause I like it, peaceful and
Quiet.
easy, and I don't have
Yeah.
any you don't have somebody barreling down behind you, you know?
Yeah, you can chill out and take in the
Yes,
scenery, and I love
right.
that too. Mm.
So a little bit further up Highway 1, then you do come to the pier, San Simeon Pier, and then there's a lovely sandy beach there where people swim. Now, I don't know that I wanna swim in that water, that's a little chilly for me. I like the water in Malibu, which is warmer, the upside of global warming, it's warmer. I don't know about swimming here on the Central Coast so much, but people do, but I thought the kids were wearing wetsuits too,
Mm.
playing in the water. But if you walk across the beach, there's a trail that takes you up to this peninsula that juts out and is quite a beautiful walk through eucalyptus and old growth forest out to a really, and you can look over and see the crashing waves and some sea life. You'll probably see sea life.
Mm.
So
Nice.
that's something that people don't necessarily do that I'm going to add into my book. For some
Okay,
reason,
cool.
it didn't get in there the last time, but it definitely is worthwhile. And there's also the general store there where you can have lunch. And
Mhm.
when I was there, they had hamburgers made from the Hearst beef. which is
Oh,
famous. It's,
yeah.
grass-fed Hearst on the Hearst property and really delicious if you like beef. If you want a really good burger. Of course, they have other things too. So then you carry on up Highway 1 after you've
Mhm.
had lunch at the general store, which is a good idea because there's not a lot of places to eat here,
Yeah,
or to take a picnic with you.
that's my way.
Um,
Yeah.
there is a trail before you get to Cambria, which is called Harmony Headlands. I have hiked this trail. I'm not sure I'm going to put it in, but I'm going to mention it because it's such a nice trail. It's just a tiny little parking lot and a tiny little sign. Very easy to miss it. It's just before the town of Harmony, which is only 700 people and is kind of like a spit in the road, but winery there and people stop. Anyway,
Oh.
yeah, the reason it's so lovely and the locals love it is because it's flat. There's a general grade, but it's pretty flat. And then it takes you through a meadow, so the birding is good there. And then it dips down to the coast to the
Mhm.
headlands. And there are benches along the way, viewing spots. And it's not heavily trafficked at all. It's
Mm.
kind of a local secret.
Oh, that's
It's not,
cool.
yeah. And I'm thinking I might put that one in the book.
Nice.
It's not it is, I think, maybe a mile or so, mile and a half at one way, and then of course you got to come back. So I would say a couple of miles, 2.5
Mhm.
miles round trip. It's pretty easy, but it's nice. So I might add that one in. And then
Cool.
we hit, then you're coming into Cambria, which is quite famous, and most people
Mhm.
know about Cambria and they know about Moonstone Beach, which is gorgeous, and there's a
It is
boardwalk.
beautiful.
But I don't put that in my book because everybody knows about that. So I try to include a little lesser known
Mm,
hideaway type
which is
place.
fun. Yeah.
Right. So after all my years of loving the coast and going up and down it many times, these are my favorite days. So then you get to the elephant seals. Now everybody goes to see the elephant seals. Have you been to the elephant seals?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I've seen them
Everybody
in
knows
Point
about
Reyes
them.
and, Año Nuevo. I've seen them.
There's 2 places, that's right, and this one on in this area is you just step off the highway and there they are. You don't have to make any reservations or go through any mechanizations, and there's a big parking lot, and there's always a ton of people there no matter what time of year you go. If you are interested in the elephant seals, you should go, like, in February, same
Mhm.
time as the birding, because that's when the big guys come in for breeding, and that's when you see these big matches, these
They're
big
huge.
horrific matches between these monsters.
They look like
Uh,
walrus to me. They do. Well, they're related, but you know what I mean? I think they're related.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they are too. So that's quite a scene, as it were. It's very loud, it's very noisy, very smelly.
It's funny though. They're
Very,
fun.
it's worth seeing. So anyway, but if you go there in the summer, they're just lying around, and they're not really much to watch. But if you go just north of there, there's a second parking lot, a smaller parking lot, hardly anybody in the parking lot
Oh,
because they're all
nice.
stopped at the first one, right? And that's where the trailhead is that takes you along the bluff of the coast where you can see the elephant seals in the water, snorting. They snort like they're snorting through a pipe. Anyway, you can see them moving around in the water. I saw several otters playing
Mm.
around. This walk takes you through a meadow, wildflower meadow, and it takes you all the way up, I think, to the lighthouse. I didn't take it all the way up to the lighthouse. The lighthouse is very famous stop up there, but you have to make reservations. I've been there. It's worth a visit. But you have to make reservations. There's only certain times that they will let you in. So that's not my style. I don't want to, I
Yeah.
like to do a free fall and, if I feel like. But I was on a press trip once and they wanted me to see the lighthouse and I did. And it was worth seeing. So then onward, as I say, um, so I really recommend that trail. And then I went up to Ragged Point, which is a cafe. There's a lodge up there if you want to stay up a little higher in Big Sur and
Mm.
have all the gorgeous views. There are trails up there you can hike. I've not spent the night up there. I just went up for lunch and
Mm.
turned around and came back. So then off in the next stop, I drove up from Cambria to uh, Paso Robles.
Oh, yeah.
which I have to say, the drive itself from Cambria to Paso Robles was absolutely spectacular. You keep
Mhm.
going up and you have vistas you can see all the way to the sea and forever. So just that itself is kind of
And then
worth
there's wine in Paso Robles,
ton
really
of
good wine.
winery, ton of
Really
wine.
good from there.
But I
Yeah.
didn't stop there. I hooked up to the 101
Okay.
because I was going on up to uh, Pacific Grove,
Mm,
where I had a room in Pacific Grove.
nice.
So, I wanna recommend Pacific Grove as a place to stay if you're going to that area, Monterey Bay area, Carmel, and so on, and
Mhm.
access to Big Sur, because you have to my goal was to get to Nepenthe.
Okay.
Have you heard of Nepenthe?
Yeah, way up there, yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's up in Big Sur. So that was my destination on this trip was to get to Nepenthe because when I was 18-year-olds and first came to California, it was like one of the first places that I went to.
Mm.
And I had such fond memories of sitting around a fire with other kids and, people playing the guitar and singing and looking at the stars and it being so romantic. And I just thought, before I die, I want to get back to Nepenthe just one more time.
There's all kinds of fun areas around there, you know?
Oh, yeah. So that's
Yeah,
right. I'm gonna get you up there, but I'm gonna recommend Pacific Grove is a nice central location for that neck of the
yeah.
woods that isn't so crazy, so busy, and is less expensive to
Is
stay.
this where the monarchs come in like February, March too, I think? So
I
February
believe
is a
so, but
good month for this. Yeah. You got elephant seals, you got birds and butterflies. Yeah.
they aren't they you can see elephant seals on the way up there, I guess. But anyway, Big Sur, the thing about Pacific Grove that it's so famous for is the Pink Park. So
Oh.
my room was right on this coastal walk that's just gorgeous,
Mhm.
and it's all this pink ice plant.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
just blanketed
Mm.
with the pink ice plant. And the story behind it is that this man, Perkins, he was a world traveler. And when he got tired of roaming the globe, he landed in Pacific Grove and he decided to beautify the place. And so he took out the poison oak and other things, and he planted the first ice plants there. And it's about a mile walk of this
Wow.
beautiful carpet of ice plant, and it's a coastal walk. And so what's happened today is it's a volunteer, it's maintained by the local people, and they take
Cool.
care of they do the gardening for the ice plants, and they have created benches and sitting spaces for you. And you can take this coastal walk all the way into Cannery Row and where the aquarium is, which is so famous, the aquarium. And most people going to Monterey are going to the aquarium. Have you been to the aquarium?
No, actually, I have not. Believe it or not. And I've been up all through that area, and that is one of those things that you keep saying, okay, we're going to do it. And then something happened. And it's like everyone needs to do it.
Well, it's one of those things that you make an online reservation, and it's,
Oh,
like $50 for seniors and whatever, but you're supposed to make a reservation because it's a very popular thing, and the reason it's so unique is because they've created the forest of the kelp.
kelp. Yeah, the kelp. That's part of why
So
I wanted to
it's
go.
the only
Yeah.
place in the world where they have created this indoor forest of kelp where
That's
all
cool.
the sea life lives. And I was there once many years ago, so I didn't do it this trip. But I have to say, I kind of wished I had. But
Mm.
you only have so much time, and I had to get to Nepenthe.
She wanted her star.
There were certain things that on this trip up the coast, who knows when you're going to be back again, so I
Yeah.
wanted to do that. So I headed up to Big Sur. That you can get to Highway 1 from Pacific
Okay.
Grove quite readily, and Highway 1 takes you up to Big Sur past Carmel and all of that. I wanted to go to, Point Lobos, which is in my book.
Mm.
Definitely, if you're in that region, you wanna go to Point Lobos, but unfortunately, word has gotten out. Now,
Mm.
when I went there several years back, I had no trouble getting in, but this time I was planning on stopping there first because it's so gorgeous and I wanted to revisit it. Miles of cars lined up,
Oh, wow.
people hiking. So I went, "Oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah. Move
I'll
on.
I'll keep rolling. I won't deal with that." So I go up So as a plan or something goes awry and you get disappointed, something good comes out of it. And
That's
that's
right.
what happened. And that's what happened. I didn't go very far up Highway 1 before I saw just like a little cluster, maybe 3 or 4 cars on the side of the road, and I thought, I wonder what that is." And I saw a little tiny sign that said Garrapatta, and I had remembered I read about Garrapatas, so I pulled over, and it was a walk in the park. You just park your car real easy, no problem, no all free, go to this absolutely gorgeous meadow walk that was just bursting with blooms, the
Oh, wow.
gorse and yeah, lavender, sage with the scent
Mm.
of the sage and the sea breeze. It's just
Oh, my.
intoxicating. And, the meadow walk goes along the bluff a bit and then it dips you down into a valley. It goes on for miles. And
Oh,
I learned
I wanna
after
go.
reading about this that yeah, there's several different accesses to Garrapatta that are not publicized. You don't see,
Mhm.
some big signs. You have to kinda know they're there. And they're like, road number 18 was the one that I was at, okay? So then yeah, I mean, so then from the bluff, I saw, "Wait a minute, there's a white sandy beach down there, and, oh, look, there's people down there, and there's a stairway." And I went, "This is fabulous," because most of the treks to the beach in Big Sur are quite rigorous, because 'cause you're up high and you've gotta hike down and, it can be fairly precarious, and you gotta be fairly fit for it.
Mm,
So I saw the stairway and went, "Oh, that's great," and I made it over there and the stairway was like almost like very newish and very sturdy and very safe. And I'm going, "This is fabulous," because just about anybody could do this. And I did, and it was just a lovely little repast.
mm.
Definitely going in my book,
Awesome.
with details about other aspects of the Girapeta State Park, which I learned is quite extensive. It's the place where you've often seen pictures of the calla lily valley in Big Sur. You'll see them
Mm.
often. Anyway, it's in there. One of the
Cool.
trails goes there. But then you go on up the road and you'll see state park entrances. And I went in
Mhm.
one and I checked it out. And it was a mile hike on a fire road to the beach. Okay, not
Mm.
pretty. Kept rolling up to Jules Pfeiffer Park, which is well known.
Perfect.
People love it. It's loved to death. There's 200
Yeah.
campsites there. It was all packed.
Oh.
There is a lodge there that's very nice that you can stay at, and that is really the best lodging in the Big Sur
Mm.
area, I think, is the Big Sur Lodge. And then, yeah, I did a little hike there, but nothing big, and then headed on up to Nepenthe. So Nepenthe, when I visited, was just this very small, cozy little place. Now it's, 3 levels, gorgeous, well, still gorgeous views. It still has the absolutely breathtaking views. And the one level is more casual patio for wine, which is where I headed up. And then there's a more chic restaurant on the next level was a buzz with diners. And very good restaurant, very, very, very lovely. And the seats are arranged so that you're overlooking the mountains and the sea. And then downstairs, they have a wonderful, wonderful gift shop that has a lot of the local artisans, the artwork, the weavings, pottery, and they have a
Wow.
bookstore. And when I get my book updated, I'm going to try to get my book in the Tibet bookstore because they had all these coastal books.
Yeah, and
So I
that
think
means you get to go
my
back.
next goal is to get my book in the
And she wants to go on another trek. Yep. Mhm. Sounds good to me.
well, no, just get my book in there. I'd be so
Yeah.
flattered and honored.
And
So,
you'd have to drive there and get to see it all
well,
again.
maybe it would be a really good excuse for me to go up there. Who
Yeah,
knows?
it's a
Yeah.
tax write-off.
Well, the road is closed a couple of miles south of Nepenthe, and they are hoping to get it open this year, but it's kind of like here, they're hoping my Topanga Canyon Boulevard. I live in the Santa Monica Mountains, and of course, we were impacted terribly by the fire, and our road was closed for
Yeah.
6 months. Now it's open, but you're filled with a lot of traffic delays,
Mm.
So I think that Big Sur is not going to be fully open for many years. I mean, that slide, if you Google it, the Regent slide, it's just
It's
immense.
yeah, that's
Exactly.
massive. It's sad.
So humans can only do so much. I mean, Mother Nature's in charge here.
Yeah, but at least you can still go up there and you just have to shift how you go. You know what I mean?
Well, once again, I loved it because you did not have the traffic. You didn't have the guy in the sports car who, had to give it its head.
And I've seen a really horrific thing with people doing that sports car and suddenly hanging over the bridge.
Right.
Hanging.
Right. It's a
And
dangerous road. I
Mhm.
have driven the full Big Sur, I won't say
Yeah,
many times, but I've driven it a couple of times at least.
yeah, me too.
And that is the problem with it, is that you've got people who are in a rush, and it's a
You
road
shouldn't.
trip.
It's beautiful.
Well, it's a road trip. There's, people who are like, they're there to drive their cars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
But so I have one last bit of information I'd like to depart. I'm going to take out De La Osa and the Big Basin in Santa Cruz area. That was my favorite walk up there in the Santa Cruz area, just north of Santa Cruz. And the Big Basin Park, of course, is very famous for the redwood forest, the gorgeous, lush, beautiful redwood forest. Gone. They had a terrible fire there a couple of years ago. And so I'm going to just take those out of my book, Big Basin and De La Osa, which the beach also was not the same. Things change. That's why I was doing
yeah.
this. The creek that went through that canyon has crossed across the beach and made it a very dangerous, hazardous trek to
Oh,
get to the sand. Now, the surfers were out there, but those guys, they're tough as nails and they're all kids. They can hop across a river, no problem. It had eroded the cliffs, so that was very dangerous getting down. So I just didn't go there, and I found I found a little nature walk there in that region, and there is that, but it's not big, and it's only a half a mile long. It's not big enough to
oh,
be in my book. I
yeah,
tried to do a day,
yeah.
to give you an outdoor day. And so usually I give you a little history of the place and I give you a good place to eat. And if there isn't a good place to eat close by, I recommend you take a picnic and blah, blah, blah. So that's it. That's as far
Well,
as I got.
I'm just a little jealous, but that means I got to go.
Well, yeah. And now's
I
the
got to go back. I
time.
love, love, love when you were saying, oh, we're going to talk about this and you were going. I'm like, I am so excited. I love, love, love that trip. I love it.
Did I give you some ideas that you'd like to
Yeah,
check
some
out?
new places, new places. So now I'm like, okay, it's time to do another California road trip, So it's been a while. It's been a while, So now you got some new places. So that's always exciting. So I love that. And I love Lost Angel in Paradise. That's where we met you when you came back. I think that was 2023 when you came on. Was that? I think
Well,
so.
it's been a while. That book I just
That book.
updated in 23. Yeah, I
Yeah.
updated it in 23, but here we are and it needs to
Yeah,
happen
but it
again.
was you were on before 23. You were
Oh yeah,
when it first came out.
I've been
A
with you
few
for,
years.
I don't know, a decade.
I crossed over the 50-yard line.
Well, we made it this far, Lisa, thank God.
I love it. I love it. Well, listen, very excited about this. Everyone, go get Lost Angel in Paradise too, and all the different books, all the Lost Angel books. You can go to lostangeladventures.com, also lindaballou.author.com, of course, on all those online stores, but authors love it when you buy books directly from them. It's a special thing, so you
Oh,
can do that too.
that's true, and I pay for the shipping if you do.
So,
Yeah.
and a little incentive. Do you sign the book?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, that's
Yeah.
special.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and I love to get feedback too. And when people
Mhm.
read my books, I love to hear what they think.
Yeah,
So, and
absolutely.
particularly in a situation like this where if I've made a mistake, or if you have a special place that you'd like me to experience and maybe share in my book, let me
Yeah.
know.
Cool,
All
cool. Well,
right.
thanks so much, Linda. It's always fun on the show with you, and I now want to go to the beach, so I'll try. Look for
So,
that bald eagle and watch it not
okay.
be one. Thanks, Linda.
All
Everyone
right,
take care.
Lisa.
Happy travels.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio's Lost Angel Travel Adventure Show with Linda Ballou, travel writer and author. Keep up with her at lindaballauauthor.com and lostangeladventures.com. You can also keep up with Big Blend Radio at bigblendradio.com. Now, happy traveling!